Would you please come up front, be seated? Yes? Well, welcome at the Kazerne Design Award 23. A special welcome to all the 9 nominees. Oh, I'm so nervous for you. Yeah. And of course, a special welcome to our sponsors, Rotary Clubs Eindhoven-Soeterbeek. Thank you so much for making this possible. Thank you also the Foundation Loyola for initiating this 4 years ago. Yes. And of course, welcome to the jury, my colleagues. But we will do a little bit more. First, I would give a hand to Jeroen. Jeroen Junsen, he will moderate tonight. We go way back. Yeah. Oh, way before the Kazerne Award, way before Kazerne even.
I remember it was rain dripping through the ceiling, and you were like, this is going to be our places, this is going to be beautiful. And I was like, yeah, right. But here we are. Here we are.
So I'm, as a alumna from Design Academy, I'm so proud of you that you all graduated with this beautiful work, with this relevant work. And I'm really curious about tonight. So Jeroen, here you go.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everybody. And I already felt a good spirit in the room. Everybody had a good meal. Everybody's pretty relaxed. Maybe a couple of glasses of wine. Everybody's winded up. So we're going to start tonight. This is the 4th edition of the Kazerne Design Awards. And the first edition was like, Kazerne Design Awards. And then the 2nd edition came like, oh, yeah. And the 3rd edition, like, yeah. And now everybody's cooked up. Who's going to win not only a prize money of 5,000 euros, quite some money. I have to work for that pretty hard. So, and you get it, at least one of you. But most important, of course, the eternal fame, being a winner of the Kazerne Design Award. It's made his name. The winner of the 2nd edition, for example, Teun Swets. He's world famous in the whole of Netherlands and also in Milan already a little bit. And then we have the winner of last year, Ruben Winehouse. Are you here, Ruben? Can I invite you on the stage? Yeah, for a quick chat. Here he is. I think it's already on. The mic is already on fire. No, you can pick it up. Yeah, it's your mic now. Okay, Ruben, what happened since last year? It should be on at least. It's not on. Okay. I'm a little bit spoiled. When I get a mic, it's always on. Sorry.
No.
What happened last year?
You mean the presentation or?
No, with you. Okay, with you personally.
After winning the Kazerne Design Awards, I developed started my own studio. Yeah. And right now it's at Sexy C. And in there I design, but mostly also craft and invent new products. And also continue my own.
Well, you won with, maybe you can explain the industrial, under development? No, it was, sorry.
Industrial devolution.
Devolution,
yes.
Not the revolution, devolution,
Yes.
Sorry. Sorry about that. And you had a whole new way of making shoes for yourself. That's still what you do?
It's part still of what I do. So last year I presented my project Industrial Devolution, a project where I tried to decentralize footwear production by completely taking over the production chain.
Just a small mic check. Can everybody understand, Ruben? In the back, yeah? Yeah, all right, great, sorry.
I think I started in October, but I started working with the Shoe Museum in Waalwijk.
Of course, yeah.
And that's super nice because they teach me all about the shoe. I started without any knowledge beforehand. That naivety helped me. to sort of figure out something new. But now it's very nice to work with experts that teach me the way of the shoe.
Okay. And winning a prize, what does it mean? Apart, of course, of the 5,000 euros which you spend in 1 month, 2 months?
I think two.
Two,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, winning a prize is it's acknowledgement. So I think especially if you're a designer who starts, the first year it's quite difficult to be seen, to be heard, even though you put in a shitload of effort. And I think also, well, winning the award makes the outside world take you more serious. So the awards themselves don't make the project better, but you are being taken more serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not only the winner, that's of course applies to all 10, or in this case 9 nominees as well, but unfortunately, unless for the winner, fortunately, there can be only one winner. Ruben, keep up the good work. Thank you. Can I have a warm applause for the winner of last year? Also, it was said already, let me introduce the jury to you, and to be honest, I'm not very jealous to the jury, because maybe it's not very correct to say, but I think this year the level of competence, the nominees, is way, way much better than any of the years before. And making a choice of these 9 projects, I mean, that must be really hard, Not only because they're so different, but also because the quality is really, really good. And Annemone, where are you going? I'm about to introduce the jury, which you are the chairwoman of the jury. Closing the bar. Okay, of course, it's something with the bar. Always at work, Annemone, that's how we know her. Even at her own birthday. Of course, Annemone is one of the jury members. Also in the jury is Kiki van Eyck, Eindhoven's finest. And she's, yes, can I give it up? Yep. And I'm not even going to start about the amount of prizes that she has won in her career already. Quite a few. Nah, don't be modest. Quite a few. Or I made a mistake. So quite a few. So Kiki is also in the jury. Also in the jury is Anne Lichterberg, social designer. Also one of Eindhoven's finest. And last, definitely not least, Jan Hoorntje of yeah, there. Oh, there you are. Okay, sorry about that. I was looking at the wrong person. Also part of the jury of the Rotary Eindhoven Soeterbeek. One more round of applause for our generous sponsor, and they are needed. No, really, give it up for the Rotary, because without a sponsor, there wouldn't be a prize. Oh, we already have a winner here. Okay, so before we start, I think there should be a clicker, and I'm going to run you, yes, very quickly through all the competitors, the 9 of them. There will be, before we start their presentations, attention please, because I'm going to be brutal. You all have 3 minutes, not more. Maybe less. Definitely not more, that's up to you. And afterwards there's one question only to be asked to you by me. And it's only one question, it would be a gentle question, because I know you're all nervous. So it's only 3 minutes, not really, take care. First is Yassine Ben Abdallah. He will not be here, he will be presenting from Réunion. That's a French island in the Indian Ocean. And now I have to juggle a little bit. Oh, there you are already. You know what? I'll do the introduction of the designers later on. Each one will be introduced while they're here. So please pay good attention. Yassine, are you ready? Yeah, you look ready. You look quite ready.
Hi.
Let's have a sound check. What time is it at your place? Can you hear me, Yassine?
Yes, I can hear you really well.
Okay.
Can you hear me as well?
Yeah, we can hear you. Great, yeah. What time is it at your place?
It's 10:30 now.
Oh, okay, that's quite reasonable. That shouldn't
It's
be an
okay.
excuse. Okay, Yassine, I don't know whether you heard me, but you have 3 minutes.
Understood.
And time is running.
Sharing my screen then.
Yeah. Ready? Okay, you're up.
Shall we go?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, thank you everyone. And hi, I'm Yassine, and I'm pleased to present to you tonight my project, The Bittersweet Memory of the Plantation. This research takes place in my home island where I am right now, which is La Réunion. Well described, it is in the Indian Ocean, and it has been colonized 200 years ago by the French Empire and has been turned into what we call a sugar colony. To be able to sustain the intensive crop of the sugarcane, enslaved labor will be brought from Africa and indentured labor from Asia to work in those plantations. And slowly but surely, the whole identity and culture of the island will be shaped and modeled by a single plant, the sugarcane. To this day, 60% of the whole agricultural field of the island is still sugar. However, on the island, there are no traces left of the enslaved that worked on those plantations. There are no objects. It felt like everything disappeared or had been made to disappear. A bit like my exhibition booth right now at Kazerne. And the only object in a way to tell the stories that are left are the one belonging to the white masters. You have old sugar factories owned by white families or old colonial houses that are owned by those same families. And maybe there's no better place to witness such disappearance that maybe is the Plantation Museum. The Plantation Museum sits in one of the old plantation estate of the island on a beautiful old colonial house. Yet when you enter such place, you realize that the only objects that are given to be seen are the one of the white masters. You could see how they eat, how they sleep, and how they live their life, but you had no traces whatsoever of the population that sustained such way of life. And this is how I came to my project and to the question of how can the stories of the enslaved be narrated when there is no object testifying to their existence? How can we, as a community, hold memory when we have no object as proof of this story? So I started working with the absence and working maybe with the only archive available to me, which was sugar itself. With sugar, I decided to recreate the enslaved tools, the same tools that are still used by the laborers themselves. I wanted to recreate impermanent machetes to be exhibited in front of the white masters' artifact, for them to question and to be a reminder of what disappeared, in the same way the sugar machete will disappear like the object of the enslaved. And I wanted it to challenge the museum by asking what should be preserved. And what does it mean in a way to exhibit what refuses to be archived, conserved, sacralized, and immortal? When I brought my project to the Netherlands to be able to show it for my graduation project, I wanted it to be recontextualized, for it to be important. As we know, the Netherlands, as an ancient empire, has one of the most extensive collection of stolen artifacts that are sleeping in the museum.
Yes, Yassine, can you hear me?
Right now.
Yeah, you're almost 4 minutes. And I already gave you an extra minute because you're the only one.
The jet lag, probably.
No, you're the only one by Zoom, so I already gave you a little bit extra time. I won't ask you a question, so you can finish your sentence. So you have 1 sentence to finish.
So maybe I want to leave you with one thought for tonight, is to remember that everything passes except the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yassine. Thank you. And please bear in mind that Yassine is not only the one to kick off, which is already hard, but he's also the only one presenting by Zoom. So just for the jury to give an extra thought. Second one coming up is Zoa Lou Rosenkranz. Zoa, where are you? Yes. For an introduction, I'll give. Yeah, please come to the stage. Pick up a mic. As an introduction, I'll give you a few stats. In 2021, 750,000 kilos of synthetic duvets, right?
Yes.
So that's quite a lot.
That's quite a lot. That's quite a waste issue we have here.
Okay. Oh, you already. She's taking it away. And you found a solution, right?
I'm trying to.
Okay, good.
Trying to implement it.
So
I can go.
here you go. 3 minutes. Also for you.
The clicker?
Ah, the clicker. Yeah. Oh. That's
Names.
3 minutes from now on.
Work. Yeah, how does it work? This is just perfect. So I'm Zoa, and my project is called Unfolding the Blanket, and it's a project that started from a quite daily object, the duvet. The blanket or duvet is an object we use in our daily life, and we spend basically half of our lives with. Yet today it has become quite unrelated to its owner, the way it's made, and it's quite easily discarded if it has a small stain or something, because it's also such an intimate and personal object that we don't give it to another second generation. And yes, sorry. So we don't even know what our blanket is made of anymore and what it has inside, nor the value of the material is that are inside, or how to take care of them. And through the mass production of bedding, duvets, like many other textile objects, have become standardized and the material journey quite untransparent. So many duvets are, okay, that were videos, but so a lot, like the material journey is quite untransparent, and a lot of duvets get thrown away after a short lifespan. So Symphony, a company here in Eindhoven also, but around the Netherlands, collected in 2021 like 750,000 kilos of synthetic down duvets and pillows that only can be burned, so are thrown away, and 26,000 kilos of feather and down duvets which go to a company called Ducky Downs to get recycled. So behind this object is actually a quite big waste issue. It's like making 4% of the general textile waste that is collected. So unfolding the blanket draws attention to different aspects of the textile industry and how we can construct objects more sustainable, but also how we can change the relation we have to this object. And for that I worked with knitting as a technique that that we can construct a textile towards its use and use really little material offcuts and make it accessible, and that you can open the blanket and you have pockets and you can put materials in, and that you also can have a material choice over your blanket, that you are able to change what is inside, and that you can use materials that are local in your region. Like in the Netherlands, blankets were made out of wool, and now they're not made anymore out of wool, but they're filled with a synthetic material, which is a huge waste issue, but also because a lot of people don't know about it. So I opened up the blanket and made it again that we know what we put inside and that we can interact with this material. So through the development of the 3 different blankets, I wanted to propose a more nuanced relationship we have with the blanket, to encourage a more sustainable relationship, and to think about how we make textiles. And the blankets are basically an example for how we could also do it with other more daily, more common objects, how we could reintroduce another relationship to the materials.
Thank you. No. I have one question. No. You can keep it. I have a very... One very quick question. Of course, Corona was a time when we all cuddled up and we wanted to feel safe with a curtain and warm and intimate. Do you think your project is maybe influenced by Corona in that sense?
I think, yes, in a way that we spend a lot of time inside, but also when it's not COVID, we sleep half of our lives. So think, some people slept more during COVID, but I think it's also still a daily object now that we are not all working from home.
Especially with the energy crisis. We
Yes,
need blankets
exactly.
more. Yeah, okay.
We're going to introduce more and more textiles, I think.
Okay.
More curtains.
Thank you, so Alu. Thank you. Can I have a yes and applause? We all remember the Fairphone, right? That's that amazing phone that you can sort of repair and have people. The good guys already have one. Well, Thomas Mair, he took it up a notch, and he didn't make just one product, but he made a template. It is a coffee machine, but it stands for something bigger. Can I have a big hand for Thomas Mair with his project Kara? And for you, I have 10 minutes. No, 3.
Perfect.
No,
Thank you.
3. I was just joking.
No, as said, like as a designer, I am very deeply concerned about the current state of electronic waste that we have. For example, the amount of waste is going to be that we're going to reach is going to be 74 million tons a year by 2030. And only about 20% of this actually gets recycled, and most of it is just going to be thrown away in some landfill somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And while there has been some talk about the right to repair, I don't think that legislation alone is going to be sufficient in solving this problem. I firmly believe that industrial design must step up and play a crucial role in reducing this electronic waste. And we need to start this by rethinking just how we design and produce our electronic devices and minimize the environmental impact and ensure that they last for a very long time. And that's where Kara comes in. It's a tangible representation of a future where design is at the forefront of tackling this issue. So from the very beginning, I wanted Kara to convey openness, and I wanted it to employ design cues to communicate repairability. So the front is all about what you interact with on the day-to-day, so it's what you would make coffee with, which means that the back can then be dedicated solely to maintaining the machine and to repair. Its internals aren't hidden from the user, they're actually shown off so you know what's going on inside. The back comes off, for example, very easily. Labels indicate where everything goes, and things like magnets make assembling it or disassembling it a breeze. So really know what is going on. I also wanted to make sure that repairing the most common failure points of something like this coffee machine does not require you to have any special knowledge or special tools at home. So it can be done easily and safely by even a layman. The housing is also designed to be designed in such a way that can be 3D printed completely from scratch in case you don't have access to the manufacturer's website or something like that. So really you always have different options for everything to fix it. And I also wanted to make sure that there is very big and very detailed documentation for what to do, so a community can come build up around this coffee machine. It's really, Kara doesn't intimidate, it makes you want to open it, and it is a blueprint for a new design standard for all domestic appliances, one for which repairing is actually the only logical choice. But just beyond just this singular appliance, Kara is also an embodiment of my design philosophy. It's a call to action for designers to think beyond just aesthetics, because the future is in our hands and we can make it better design by design.
Thank you. I have quite a simple question, Thomas.
That's good.
Yeah. Of all the domestic appliances, you could choose a vacuum cleaner or a toaster or whatever. Why did you choose the coffee machine? I think, it's quite a difficult object. There's water and electricity in one object, which is also pretty scary.
I think my biggest fascination with it is that people have quite an emotional connection to their coffee machine, the way they probably wouldn't for a vacuum cleaner. And I really wanted to make sure that beyond just like actually making it repairable, people need to start caring for their things. And that, hence also the name Cara is supposed to make you care for it. And I think a coffee machine was a very good example, because people don't want to throw them away. They want to keep them, but they can't because the design makes it impossible.
Okay, I'll cuddle my coffee machine in the morning. I promise you that. Thank you, Thomas. You still have 3 minutes. It doesn't matter if you come earlier to the stage or not. It's still only 3 minutes. But you can come to the stage. Héloïse, Floc'h, here's your mic. And let me give you a short introduction of you. You're French, you're from Paris. And you found a Jardin d'Agronomie Tropicale, right?
Yes.
And you thought, when you saw that building, that tells a bigger story than it just does, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tell us the story. You have 3 minutes.
Of course. Yeah, so I'm Héloïse and my project is called Duty of Remembrance. A bit about me, this fascination also of this project come from a bit of the background of my family. So my father is born in Constantine in French Algeria at the time, such as his mother, grandmother, great-grandmother and great-great-grandmother, so 5 generations. However, in the family, the topic of colonization has never been told, and it's something that is very taboo. My project is, it's site-specific, and it's called the Jardin d'Agronomie Tropicale. You can see here on the left. It's a small part of the Vincennes Park on the east of Paris, and it was formerly called the Colonial Garden. It was created in 1899, and the greenhouse was the first building built on the site. And since then, it's 80% of the site is completely abandoned. So here you see, so the site has the greenhouse, but also a lot of history, holds 2 colonial exhibition. And so therefore there's also pavilion that represents the former and present colonies, such as here the pavilion of the Reunion Island. So you see here the picture of 1910, and here a picture of how it is right now. My project, however, is based on the greenhouse. As I'm from France Metropole, I also feel that it's more legitimate for me to talk about the greenhouse and the plants as a natural element, as I'm not yet a mediator of those unheard voices for the pavilions. Here you see the greenhouse, so on the former states that it was, and the pictures that I took last year in 2022. Here as well. So completely abandoned, it's forbidden to, it's impossible to go for the public, so I sneaked in to take those pictures. Those greenhouse, so what happened in those greenhouse? They were there for economical purpose. So the plants were taken from their origin, proliferate in the greenhouse in Paris, and then therefore sent to the French colonies. They were sent to the French colonies through the Wardian case, which is basically a transportable terrarium invented by a botanist, Mr. Ward, in England. For my project, it's a proposition of exhibition that would take place in the greenhouse, so a rehabilitation of it. I take the Wardian case as a materialization for each step. So there's 3. The first one represents the origin, the second one represents the transportation, in which you also see the inventions of the machines. And the third one represents the industrialization of today. I will go very fast. On those you see vanilla and rubber, so you have the stories of the origin, transportation, the fertilization, and here, France vanilla was from Mexico. It was propagated in the greenhouse in Paris and then sent to Madagascar, which was French colonies, and today 80% of the vanilla comes from Madagascar. However, we don't know the story that those products hold that are around us. And today, to finish, I'm focusing more on functional botanical gardens. Here you have pictures of Kew Gardens. Kew Gardens had exactly the same function as the garden in Paris in 1910.
Okay, thank you.
Voilà.
Thank you. You made a very long sentence. You thought Jeroen was going to let me finish the sentence, so I'll make a very long sentence and just keep on talking. Anyway, so you go broaden your project now to different botanical gardens in different countries also?
Yeah, to functional botanical gardens, because actually functional botanical gardens usually, such as the Kew Garden, had like this, had the same function of the one in Paris, which is abandoned right now.
So you see the botanical gardens as sort of a metaphor of a colonial past?
It's not a metaphor. It's a trace. It's a place where you actually colonial history was, but it's never said. It's always under stories are always put under carpet. And here, for example, Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Just, yeah.
No. I have to be brutal. Thank you so much. There's probably many stories to be told from your project. Thank you. Nice try. Orisun Merhav from Israel. It's almost hard to imagine that, but for centuries now, well, not even centuries, but a century ago, I think lice, yes, the ones that grow on your head, were also an important raw material. And Ori sort of reinvented that. How does it look like? Well, if you're ready? You're ready?
Yeah.
Then you have 3 minutes.
I have some difficult technical difficulties, but we're going to overcome them because I have Simon here. And I will be a bit the voice in the back and a bit here. But hello, my name is Orisun Merhav, and I'm going to share with you tonight my ongoing research made by insects. But first, I will need the website. And I'm going to be a bit the voice in the back. The research began about a year ago when I developed the curiosity to this material that is now being forgotten slowly. And I was contacting this group in Thailand that is researching the agricultural part of the material. The insects are small as a grain of sand, and they are growing on branches of trees, and they're forming these beautiful cocoons that were my inspiration for the continuation of the project. The material was used so far only as a coating material, and since we have so many chemicals nowadays in the industry, the natural competitor is not valuable anymore. However, this research is exposing new innovative techniques on how can we still find a new future for the material. And I was coming back from a month in Thailand in the farms to my studio in Eindhoven at the time to find new ways that we can shape and form. So I thought if the insects can form their homes with the material, we might be able as well to use it in a more three-dimensional shape. Can I go back to the PDF? Okay. And as I was going back, I think we skipped quite a bit, but at some point I discovered the material reminded me a lot in the chewing gum texture of glass, and I thought maybe we can try and blow it. And then I was working with glass blowers to learn how can we borrow techniques from glass and apply them here. So the shapes that you see in the installation there are blown, and we developed together these techniques. And during the Dutch Design Week, I met a couple of engineers that together we developed a technique to 3D print the material, and in Salone de Mobile we exhibited the first results. And in the coming year, the material is going to be tested in 2 research institutes, scientific labs, one in Breda and one here in Eindhoven. And we're going to try to make it more stronger in a biologic way. And I know the time is very limited. So in my personal practice, I still create these objects that lives between function and fiction to give the story of the journey that I experienced with the material and attract more researchers to collaborate with me and develop the future for it. And I believe the future is bio-inclusive, so I do not believe that there is going to be one material to replace plastics, but many other that will build this puzzle together, I hope.
Thank you, Ori. You did very well. I have, as for everybody, I have one question. First of all, why Thailand?
So, yeah, I skipped a lot. But the insects are native in Thailand and India, and every year there is 2 million kilograms of the material that is being harvested only in the factory that I went in Thailand. Okay. And they expressed to me that they are worried for the future of their practice because there is a problem.
Where do they use it for in Thailand?
Actually, they mostly export it to Europe. That's what they struggle with, to make a coating material to brush on surfaces. But now we have chemical coatings, so there is less demand for this material.
Okay, but an industrial appliance of this material is possible?
Many people will know it as shellac. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's traditionally used for woodworking, but as I said, nowadays it's very much of a niche.
But it could be industrial?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ori.
Thank you.
Next up is Marte van Haaster. And Marte, you graduated in social design with honors?
Yes, cum laude.
Cum laude? Yes, it's very proud of it, of course.
Works? Can I see how this works?
Sorry? Yeah, it's very easy. There's an arrow, and on the arrow...
Cum laude, maar dan toch dit niet snappen.
Nee, it's a bad design. You know, all these clickers have bad designs. 3 minutes for you.
Okay. So my name is Marte van Haaster, and my project is called Land Ally. It's a participatory nature reserve built on an alliance with nature. And it started around the question, can a nature reserve also function in healing the relationship between humans and non-humans, rather than just be a place of preservation? And to explore this question, I adopted a piece of agricultural land outside of Eindhoven. It's 1 acre, formerly used to farm on. And rather than design, as a landscape architect would, a park or a public space, I investigated what animals and plants and fungi and species were living on the land and saw what their qualities were and how to collaborate with those entities rather than design from a human-centric perspective. That resulted in a collection of objects, all placed onto the land. And they're a family, so they work together, but they also are linked to non-human entities. To give you an example, because it's quite a few, this is the molehill tool. And the molehill tool was used to collaborate with the mole that brings up deeper laying soil onto the surface. And with the molehill tool, we would introduce new seeds into the patches that the moles were active, which would create a bigger plant diversity on the places where the moles were active. Another one, the zuring tool, together with the sheep. The zuring tool was used to dye the sheep wool an ochre yellow using the zuring pigments in a process of solar dyeing. So you see the solar reflector and the rainwater together would dye the wool. Basically, what the land was a place of community and a place for workshops to be held. It was a public space for over a year, so it was also open when I wasn't present. And besides the workshops, I also invited experts, people that are active, such as Brabant Landschap, the municipality of Gelderop, ecologists, to come and have a conversation with me about nature maintenance in the Netherlands. The stikstofcrisis, as you all know, is very prominent. And together this was also created into a short documentary that you can see at the exhibition. After a year, I returned the land to its respective owners, and I've currently set up an AMBI foundation that has as an intention to repeat that methodology of land allyship to other places of land. I'm working with the municipality of Amsterdam to set up a place there for the next 5 years. But I'm also working in commission of the gemeente Eindhoven in relation to the Dommel to see how you can be an ally for the Dommel. So yeah, that's it. I didn't even go yet.
Wow! That's great. I'm going to ask you.
Maybe I'll just use them.
Oh, I just was about to ask you two questions.
Because maybe, I don't know, it was like what I like about the fact that this project kind of gave me a kickstart for the rest of my career in terms of this whole idea of being an ally of nature can be repeated in multiple locations and will always have a different outcome because it's dependent on the plant and the animal community there.
Okay, thank you. Just one question now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course, there's a lot of the coming years. There will be a lot to do about farmland.
Yes.
And farmland being either return to nature or a different way of farming.
Yeah.
Do you think the Land Ally Foundation can play a role in that
100%.
ongoing?
Yeah, what's
100%. In which way?
The current ideas behind nature preservation in the Netherlands are very much built on 1850s kind of farming aesthetic. So a lot of the nature that is seen as high valuable nature has its origin in farming. So there's a really good way that farmers currently could change their practice into reaching those sustainability goals in terms of the nature types. It's very technical, but the nature types that are necessary, such as a wet farmland and hoog grasland, those kinds of things.
But I think also, apart from the technical part, maybe also connecting people again to what used to be the farmlands?
Definitely, and also so that there's a kind of, the farmer have their tasks to do, but I think the areas near to urban zones could definitely become a land ally.
So you're going to be busy the coming years.
I hope so.
Thank you, thank you. Next up is Pepe, Triginer, Valenti. I was in Milan last year and I saw his project. I said, I know this project, but I couldn't immediately figure out where I knew it from and what it was. And I remember, it was the graduation show and I saw it on Big Art. And I think he's also going to Design Miami, you told me, in Milan as well.
Art Miami, yeah.
I did Design Miami. Oh, okay. Take it away, 3 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I think you saw it last week.
3 minutes, already counting.
Yeah, but no, you said last year, just to, it hasn't been since last year, but yeah, so I'm Pepe. I'm from Spain, and I graduated from Food Non-Food last year as everybody else. So I wanted to tell you a bit about myself, or what is the necessity to do with the things that I do. And I think it's good to talk about what is it that I admire so much. And it's mostly nature, but also kind of like natural phenomenons. A lot of the times when I'm experiencing them, I feel a certain kind of wholeness within me, and I feel very like excluded from my own reality, and I go into another new reality. And it's a feeling that a lot of the times I want to give to other people. So for my project El Mar, which is the one that you can see here, but I will go back. It was basically a love letter to the sea. And it was a love letter to a moment when I'm at the sea and I'm looking at the horizon and there's the sun shining on the movement of the waves and there's this kind of harmony of light reflections. And this is one of the many natural phenomena that I'm in awe of, but this one is one of the ones that I love the most. And it gives me this feeling of forgetting about everything. And it's a feeling that I think we need a lot, and it's a feeling that I really wanted to kind of give. So I went to the workshop and I started making without thinking too much. And then I created El Mar installation, which is 19 pieces of stainless steel, chrome-plated, all together to make a circle. So it's a bit of an experience, but it's also between art and design, which is the world I'm in. when people ask me what you do, I'm not ever sure what to say. Like I'm an artist, I'm a designer, but I like to play with that boundary of like, when does art become design, or when does design stop to be art, or things like that. So yeah, and then what's next? So yeah, I created this installation and I'm doing other projects, but one of the reasons I would like to have this prize is mainly to kind of keep on looking at different materials, keep on looking at different phenomena, and try to have the space and create the same feeling that I want to recreate, but through other mediums, and meeting other people, and learning other skills, and growing as a designer. Because I love the project I'm presenting now, but I also don't want it to define me as a designer. I want to keep on growing, and this would be a great possibility to do so.
Wow. Great. It is possible in 3 minutes. Just saying. You said you want to explore yourself, maybe work with other materials. What sort of materials should we think of?
Now in the back of my head I have marble.
Yeah,
but I don't want to think about it too much, because when I think it goes wrong. So it's only when I don't think that then I can do something.
And where does it start? Does it start with a fascination, for example, the sea or the sun or the desert or something else, or?
It's recognizing, like, for example, the sea was recognizing that when I was there, I had like a tickle in me that made me feel a certain way, that I was kind of like just inspired or amused by. So it's for example, with marble, I'm just like, wow.
So
really
it starts with a fascination.
Yeah. It's kind of grabbing that fascination and just get hands-on with it and work with it and see where you get.
Yeah, you work on intuition, and then at a certain point it's hard labor, you know, like iron or steel, stainless steel, and marble. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Pepe. The clicker, yeah. Give it to Jelle already. Here he is, Jelle Seegers. Also graduated with honors from public-private. We could have done a quiz, like which department does these students come from? Food, non-food, and then it comes up with something on a wall. And so there's all quite different kind of things. And Jelle, I also saw his project during, there it is. And first I was like, what is this? And then he started explaining it. It was not just an installation, it was a whole new world and wave production and a whole new industry, a one-man factory that he was actually realizing. But what does he make with it? Jelle, take us.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. So I'm Jelle Seegers, and I'm designer and maker of radically more sustainable tools, machines, and working methods. And tonight I present to you my graduation project, the solar metal smelter. As a maker, I have a great passion for tools, and because most good tools have a cast piece in them, I also got a passion for metal casting. And this led me to do an internship at a metal casting company in Tilburg. And here I learned a lot from old craftsmen that teach me the trade, and next to being astounded by their skill, I was astounded by how much energy it takes to melt metal. And for this reason, I set out to completely redesign metal melting, which led to the solar metal smelter. The solar metal smelter is basically a huge magnifying glass. Maybe you tried when you were a kid or after you were a kid to make a fire with a magnifying glass. I made that, but bigger. So the installation can... I should not forget to do this. Does it work? Oh no. Okay, we don't have video, that's okay. So the installation can be moved with following the track of the sun during the year and during the day. And this way the lens focuses all light on one spot. And on this spot is an insulated crucible. It's a kind of pot in which I melt metal. In here you see zinc. I can also melt aluminium. It's green because the light is so bright you cannot look into it, so it's filmed through a welding lens. After melting, that's a pity. After melting, I pour it in a mold, just like with regular metal casting. This mold is made from sand. I make the mold together with a wooden model, And when I take the wooden model out of the sand mold, you have an empty space. In there I pour the metal, and then you're left with a cast. And in the exhibition you can see a tool that I made with the casts. So the cast that I made in the video was 3 pieces, a water reservoir, a flywheel and a bearing housing. And together with recycled wood they make a foot-powered but very precise grinding machine for other tools. So what I basically try to do is, I believe that manufacturing and factories as we know it is really running on its end. Like we can see that a lot of companies are struggling with materials that come from far away, energy that comes from far away. And I don't want to melt the metal with solar panels or with wind energy. I would try to develop working methods that take the energy as nature supplies it to us and uses it in that form because it's more simple. So this is actually only the beginning. I'm now working on a bigger one, which will allow actual metal casting companies to melt serious quantities of material. And this way they can have a working method that's not only sustainable, but also gives them great economic resilience. Yeah.
Great. Almost like famous last words. Great economic resilience. Couldn't have summed it up better, Jelle. I've one question. So what is basically more important in this project? The tools that you make with this production set, or the production set itself? If you gun to the head, not literally, but gun to the head, if you would choose what is the outcome of your project, what of those two would it be? Gun to the head, huh?
I would say the most important is here the tool that made the tools.
Yeah, okay.
Because, like, for example, we all know electric cars, they're great, they don't use petrol. But in the end, it's still a tool that we use to move from A to B. But it's not only important what the tool uses, it's also how the tool is made and what was necessary for the tool to exist in the first place. So I believe that if I want to redesign tools, first need to redesign the tools to make the tools. And that's this tool, which makes the cast, which are the foundation for the tools. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jelle. Remember that. Great economic resilience. Wow. You're going to make it to Davos with that one, probably. The last one is I have to check something with you. Leopold Inkapööl. I thought, I know how to pronounce his name, but then I forgot, he's Swedish, and there's some things above the O, so I forgot to check your name.
Yeah, it's Leopold Inkapööl.
Yeah, I couldn't have guessed that. Thank you. His project is here, and I do advise you in the post while the jury is deliberating to try it. And I already experienced it during the graduation show. And for me, it's one of those few objects that sort of reach the 4th dimension, because sound can be at different places at the same time. How does it work? Tell us, please, Leopold. 3 minutes.
Thank you. So yeah, I don't really have much of a presentation because what I'm working with is like surround sound. So it doesn't really work playing a video for you to show how it works. So I'll just tell you and encourage you to go and try it yourself. But so I started like most people with the fascination, like I have a background in music and sound and the physics of sound, and our hearing has always been, it's one of those things that really fascinate me, that I can nerd into however much. And when I was doing research for my graduation project, I was reading up on sound localization, which is how we basically determine where a sound source is in our environment. So we can hear someone talking over there, we can hear something going on there, a bike passing behind us. And in this way, our hearing differs from our vision, because our vision is directed. I can't see what's behind me, but the hearing is omnidirectional. But when we reproduce sound and when we listen to music, a lot of the times we only have 2 sound sources. It's left and right. or even just one Bluetooth speaker to listen to music from. So there is so much potential in our hearing that we're not really using. I went to some places. There are multi-channel speaker setups where you can play music from all kinds of arrays of speakers, but it's quite rare. And I went to Germany to Sound Research Institute to try one of these systems, and I sat for a whole night in one of their studios making a composition where there could be some people speaking over here, and there was a guitar on the back of me to the right, and there was footsteps walking around me in a circle and birds flying above, and I was like really floored by this experience, and it was so strong. So I sat there until 5 in the morning, and I slept for 1 hour on the floor, and then took the train back to Eindhoven. And then I just wanted to. This was such a strong experience, just playing around with sound. It's something that we all have in our lives every day. Also, hearing like this we do all the time. But there's something about like playing with it yourself, to move sound around in space, that is like quite of a rare experience. It was to me, at least, and it gave me this sense of discovering something. So I made this installation, the Omniphonium. It contains an instrument with 7 rings, with which you can control 7 different sounds and move them around in the space. So I really invite you to go try it. It's in the back room there, and it's best experienced in this way. I made it super duper simple so that absolutely anyone can go and just play with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, please stay 1 second, Leopold. I was wondering, it's not really a musical instrument, but at the same time it is. It's not an interface, but at the same time it is. It's sort of something in between design and a musical instrument. Do you have a musical background, maybe?
Yes. Yeah. I've played the cello since I was a little kid. But this thing, I see it as both, like it is a tool with potential in different types of performance or concerts or whatever venues to just move sound around. But I really made it as something for this type of setting, for people to just go and try and have an experience of some kind.
Okay, that's what we're going to do when the jury is deliberating. Thank you, Leopold.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can bring it to me. Thank you so much. 9 nominees. You did great. You did great. Took a little bit more time than expected, but hey, it's presenting your work is also something that you need to learn during the years, and then in certain points you do it in 3 minutes. Before the jury sort of retires in the back room, let me run you through all the 9 projects we've seen. And what struck me is that a lot of these projects come from a personal fascination, whether it be the sea and the tinkling of the waves, whether it be the sound and how the sound moves, whether it be an old material that is being reused again, but it's activist almost, but not in a smart, know it all better kind of way. I might even say a lot of these designs have a soul. It comes from the family backgrounds or personal background where you come from. And in that way, it's almost like a hopeful gesture that these designers give us. And they also touch very urgent and nowadays kind of topics, the colonial history that we have to deal with, the use of the senses, in the time that becomes more and more digital, the senses, the seeing, the hearing, becomes more and more important. Of course, nature inclusive. What is our role as mankind in nature? We've seen that in some of the projects here as well, unlocking animals in production, but in a kind way. Also being circular and systematic, and even try to achieve, there it is, great economic resilience. It's not just projects and designs that they offer, it's gestures for an alternative. And like I said, in that way, it's very hopeful what we've seen here with the designers. I'm going to run you through in any random order, because these cards are all mixed up, through these 9 nominees for the jury, because maybe the one who was first might be the last one and a little bit forgotten. There was, of course, Thomas Mair, Cara, the coffee machine, which is not actually a coffee machine, but a whole systematic idea of how we can rearrange projects. And we start with a coffee machine, but it could have been almost a vacuum cleaner. Jelle Seegers, yeah, well, I've mentioned it before, the one-man factory. And it's not about the tools, it's about the tools that make the tools. And I think that's already something, food for thought. We had Marte van Haaster, who's going to solve the problem with the farmers, maybe, but she's going to be busy with it. And she also makes a gesture. She also question marks. It's not only about solutions, but it's all what is nature. Maybe a piece of land that has to be turned to nature is already nature. There are animals there, there are plants, there's a vegetation there. Interesting perspective, right? We as humankind have to change a piece of land to make it nature. I think in that way of thinking there's already something going terribly wrong. Anyway, also Pepe, the sea and the inspiration, and it was stainless steel, could have been marble. We don't know why he made that choice. It's up in his head, and that makes his work very crafty, but also intuitive. And I think intuition in design is a very much underrated quality. So that's Pepe. And here, Orisun, Merhav, the shellac, a forgotten material and a forgotten production technique. And isn't it strange that we have to fly all the way to Thailand to rediscover these things that we already know, we just forgot about it. And she is unlocking like the memory of production. Yassine, of course, he was the first one with a very, very beautiful project. And I must say, unfortunately, it doesn't come over that well by Zoom. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to make these canes. But let me tell you, if you see these canes and it tells the story about the slave history, if these canes, if they melt, the sugar cane going to start like blood. And the whole project in itself is so very, very beautiful. And unfortunately, he didn't have the opportunity to present it the way the project deserves. Héloïse Floc'h, using plants to tell a story about the colonial history, starting from a personal viewpoint and then zooming out to a much, much bigger story. I think that's something also that designers are very good at. Well, some designers, you are. Zoalou, you kicked off after Yassine with the blankets. Also a very, very touching project, because it's not about the blankets, it's about the systematic change that we need. We have to start rethinking about how we use products and how we use raw materials. And finally, Leopold, Inkapööl. Like that, right? That was good, right? So, no, I did my best. Sorry about that. I tried it before and I couldn't, so I asked you to do it. It's a beautiful name, really. Like I said, you did something great. You took me to the 4th dimension, where sound is like at the same time at different places, and I think that's something incredible that a designer can reach that. So, before we all go out and have a look at the exhibition, especially try the controller installation / musical instrument / teleporter of Leopold, we can have a drink and stroll around at the exhibition, and the jury can withdraw themselves for their heavy, heavy task. And I will see you here probably when white smoke is coming up from the office of Alumni. See you in a bit. Can I invite the people in the back to take a seat? Iedereen achter in de zaal, mag ik jullie uitnodigen om plaats te nemen? Okay, people, let's keep this as short as possible. Please, everybody have a seat. I can already feel the forces in the room. Wow. I think for at least 9 of us, this must have been the longest 25 minutes of this sanctuary. But there is a verdict. Before I hand the microphone to Anemone, I will please introduce the rest of the jury and invite them to the stage. First, Kiki van Eyck, designer from Eindhoven. Can I please have a big applause for Kiki? Because it probably must have been a hell of a job. Also, Anne Lichtenberg, social designer from Eindhoven. En Jan Hoorntje, Jan, kom erbij, of the Rotary Eindhoven Soeterbeek. And please, again, a very big applause, not only for Jan, but for the Rotary, because they made this possible. And as mentioned before, no, really. And as mentioned in the beginning of the evening by Ruben, the winner of last year, that, of course, participating is more important than winning. No, but the whole idea that your work is seen and your work is shown and somebody saw it and took the effort to evaluate it is just as almost as precious as the 5,000 euros. But I give it away to Anemone now for the announcement of there can be only one winner.
Yeah, but there's gonna be a little more attention first. Because first we would like to give you all some feedback on your work. And all the other guests we like to invite to think along on how you could help these people further. How you can introduce them into your network to help them. So please think about that while you're sitting here and later on as well when you can meet them. So we will give you a little feedback and then we're going to announce the winner. So a little bit more. Thank you.
The first one was Yassine. I don't know if he can hear us or if he's joining us right now. Yeah? He is? Well, I saw his project already at the graduation show, and when I saw it, I was immediately blown away, and I also understood what the project was about, even without reading. I think the project really speaks for itself. I think it's poetical. I think it's very relevant. It has a very strong story. It's really well made. So I think everything is very clear and really well done. And even though he couldn't join us here, I think he did a very clear presentation and in a very good way. So thank you for that, Yassine.
Zoa, I think it's really beautiful how you show us that daily objects also need to deserve to be questioned and rethought again. And now the example was the blanket, but like you said also in your presentation, there are all these things around us that we disconnected with. And it's really nice to have this realization of all those objects that we need to give another look. Thank you.
Well, first of all, we as Rotary Soeterbeek are very proud to be sponsoring this great award. It's great to see so many talents that are on their way to make a difference in this world. I think, like Anemone also says, it's important to build a bridge between the different worlds, and hopefully we are able to build a bridge between us and you, and also to get you a start in a different network. All participants, thank you very much. Very impressive. Great to be part of this show. And then Thomas, me, coming from the world of coffee and coffee machines. Obviously, I was blown away by your work. And I think you really address a very essential point in that in nowadays consumer electronics, but also in general, in this thrown away society, we need to make a difference. And I think you made a very strong point saying that industrial design needs to step up. So great work, very impressive. Thank you.
Héloïse, You touched some very relevant points. We were already very curious about your project, and we are actually also very curious on how you are going to bring it further. We heard you were going to study at the Zandberg Institute. Yeah, so please keep us posted on the project.
Also a little note, Jeroen said before at the beginning, I have the feeling he says that every year. The level is really high this time. But this year I really agree with him that the level overall of you all is really high. And also your projects are incomparable. So whoever wins doesn't really win from the others because you all have a really high level. So it's just a matter, you know. But I wanted to point that out because it's not every year like that the level is so high. So it's really beautiful for us to see. And then speaking about Ori, what is really beautiful about your project, I think, is that it's very hopeful. You are reinventing traditional techniques. And I think that's really the only way forward for the future, for any technique we can think about and material. And it's also beautiful to see the steps you already took within this half year after your graduation, that you're working with TNO, you're working with a 3D printer. So I think it gives endless possibilities, and that's really good to see.
Marte, I think you put it very beautifully. We need to learn how to be allies again. And I think by showing that you worked actually with a piece of land, but now also in a completely different context, showing that the pieces and the material is still alive, I think that's something that we all need to take away from this evening, and something that we also need to take with us in our daily lives, because we all need to become allies. So we're very looking forward to whatever you're going to do with this. Thank you.
Pepe, love letter to the sea. I love the work that you did. When I was standing in front of it, I was blown away, and especially also the passion and the intuition. It's fantastic. Very open. We like. You're looking for the crossroads between design and art. Very intuitive. Unfortunately, I don't have big walls like that, but I will put it up immediately. We really believe that you're going to make a difference in exploring, and we wish you. We are confident that you will be very successful in your road in finding new materials. But a great piece of work, great craftsmanship, and you should be thankful to all the students that help you in return for beers to help you finalize this great piece of design. Thank you.
Jelle, it took me a while to fully grasp your project when I first saw it at a graduation show. I thought, well, what is this? And then I think I spent the most time at your project there to see, what you were all doing and to fully grasp it. And the radically, I can't read my own handwriting anymore.
Radically sustainable tools?
Yeah, I think that's what we need, and that's also for the next few years with Kazerne, what we strive for is also the more nature inclusivity. I think this is really important for the world.
And then Leopold, the last one, I think what's special about your project, it's that it's both very intelligent and emotional at the same time. I think you're showing us the poetry of sound, and at the same time it's really well crafted. And what I find intriguing is that you can use it as a child. It's very playful, but really well thought of. I think it's really a beautiful value that we can add in spaces.
And now, already what Kiki said, you're all part of the Kazerne family, and I hope we will all bring you further, but Jelle is the winner. Ja, ik denk, ik trek hem er maar gewoon in, Rot. So now you have to tell us. Oh, Jeroen. Yeah.
It's a great day for the great economic resilience. Congratulations, congratulations. Of course, do you have any idea where you, of course, you're not going to spend it all at once, but have you like a little bit of an idea where you can spend the money on?
First of all, I want to say thanks for the prize. I'm really grateful. It's actually really funny you bring up economic resilience, because today I experienced a really nice moment amongst us designers. We were 8 of us. 9 of us. Well, yeah, 9. And while we were making the group picture, this idea popped up of like, we really like this prize, but also like it was quite expensive to rent a van and stuff to get here. So then we decided that we would still have a big prize, but also everyone would get like a small prize. So actually, like I'm taking the biggest part, I'm sorry. So I'm taking like 4,000, but everyone gets like a little 100 just for the cost. And I think this is something that we need to think about. And no, it's like this is something we came up with together, but I think it's something we need to think about. Like often we present our work for free, but like 9 of us came here, had a great night, don't get me wrong, but like coming here from Brussels or like, it's not super far, but still it's quite some work. So I think this is something we should do more often. Anyway, apart from that, I'm gonna...
4,000, where are you going to spend it on?
I'm gonna...
An electric drill or...
No. Wow.
Okay,
I'm gonna do lots of second-hand shopping, like sand. I'm gonna buy a lot of casting sand. I'm gonna buy a lot of broken machines for the zinc, for the aluminium, for the bronze. Then I'm probably gonna pay someone to help me understand the glass.
That's usually what people do, hire someone to do their work.
No, not to do the
When they
work,
win a
but you need
prize.
to understand it. I wanna make, because now my project is quite low tech, but there's one high tech element to it, and that's the polycarbonate lens. And I would like to substitute this for glass lenses, so that not only it's more sustainable, but also the machine can reproduce itself. So that's the big challenge for coming year, and this will help like super big, like for a lot.
Okay, that's the whole idea.
Thanks a lot.
Good luck to you, Jelle. And what a great way to end this evening, and also to sum up this evening. Of course, people who have a little bit more than these young designers are also very collaborative and also generous in sponsoring this prize, and then pay it forward by Jelle. I couldn't have expected differently, by sharing at least a big amount of money among the 8 others. So I think in the end it's a bit of a cliche, but all 9 of you are winners, especially because really, yeah, Kiki, you were right. This year the level is so really high and different. But what I said again, it's a very hopeful, and you made it very clear, a very hopeful 9 nominees we had this year. So it was a great edition. Up to next year. See you then. Of course, Anneman has the last words.
But first, we want you on stage, all nominees, and then to say another a time thank you. You will get also flowers. That's the least you deserve. And yes. And then we will make some pictures, and everyone is invited to join us for a drink at the bar. So thank you all. Thank you for your beautiful work, and I hope to see you at the bar.